All right, we are back again with a Strong Witness story series, the Strong Witness story session. And what we're talking about in the month of May is mother's love, right? So we know Mother's Day was a couple of days ago, and I want to share about that in a moment. But this month I thought was special. I think I said, you know what? I realized I said too last time, I said May really holds a lot. And maybe for me it does, as far as always Mother's Day. And I always thought Mother's Day was special because Mother's Day always fell in line with graduation. And I always would think like what a special gift that is. And I think like even when I graduated and, seeing my mom and how much that meant, or my father's birthday is in the month of May. I have a little nephew. He'll turn 2 in a couple weeks in May. So May is always special. May was always like when you were in school was always the wind down when school's about to be over. So when you start cutting up even more, like it was in the month of May. So that's why May is always good times and fun times. But this story session that we have right here is called Mother's Love. And we know last week we had a woman by the name of Stephanie come on, and she shared her story of her daughter's death. As you recall her saying, her daughter passed away when she was just 12 years old, and she was born with some health issues. But what a blessing that her daughter was. And so if you missed that story series, make sure that you go back and watch that. I think that's very special. As well as April, we know what April was, sexual assault, Child Abuse Prevention Month. So make sure you also go back and watch those stories too. If you don't know what Strong Witness is, which I hope you do by now, it's a storytelling community. So we come on here and we share, right? So we'll have different guests. It's not just going to be me that are going to come on and share their stories. Some are more heavy than others. So that's why I always remind people that listening and sharing a story is not by any means a replacement for therapy. Get your therapy, talk to your therapist, right? Make sure you have scheduled appointments, but this is not a substitute for it. We're sharing for connection. We're sharing for healing. We're sharing to support each other. We're sharing just because sometimes we've never heard these stories before, so it's important to hear them, but it doesn't replace therapy. Another thing that I often say too, we got to remember that these stories, some of them may be triggering. If you hear a story and you realize like, man, I didn't realize that I was dealing with that, or that was really heavy, I'm not sure what to do, then it's okay to log off. It's okay to not continue to watch, right? We're not going to be, I want you to watch, but we're not going to be, let me see here. I made a mistake. I want you to watch, but I'm not going to, force anybody to stay connected if you're not ready thus far. So as always, one more thing I say, make sure, like if you have a story that you want to share with the community, then make sure you email me or send me a message on Facebook. I don't care. You got to call the office, do what you got to do, because I love a good story. I love to see people get free. I love to see people healed and sharing. So today is going to be really fun, because I'm about to bring her on in like 2 seconds. A friend of mine, and I can honestly say that I call her a friend, but I was gonna say something smart, but I guess when she comes on, because I guess that's how we talk to each other, right? So I have a friend of mine that's gonna come on and share a story. So I'm about to bring her on now, and I want you guys to welcome, and make sure you share it. Make sure you tell your friends to log on, tell them Billie J. Ross is gonna come on and be sharing her story. So as you can see, this is my friend Billie. Back up a little bit. Back up just a little bit. This is my friend Billie J. Ross, and we're gonna chat for a little bit. Billie, welcome to Strong Witness.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I'm excited. Billie's the type of person that you can invite to do stuff, but you got to get in Billie's books. You know what I'm saying? So I had to ask Billie, and we had to talk about this to make sure that you were available to be on here. But I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Listen,
I really do.
My kid and my husband are in the back. I got the door locked. I keep promises.
Yeah, but it's okay because we talk about a mother's love. And so that's what I was saying. If your son comes in, with his personality, because he's so cute, that'll be cool.
He's not.
Yeah, he's cute. But Billie, your hair looks really pretty. Right, your hair is beautiful, but tell everybody who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm Billie Ross. As most of you already know, I am a hairstylist and salon owner, located in Arlington, Texas. I've been a stylist for 12 years now and a salon owner for about a year and 6 months and some days. I'm also a mother. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. So I have a 5-year-old son. And I have one on the way. I am 8 months preggers. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah. And let me put this up here too. I made sure that I made a banner so people know where to find Billie at
Yeah.
Exclusive Hair Salon. And I just had somebody and social media links, website to book your appointment. I just had somebody tell me too, because I get this all the time because I share the posts that you post for Exclusive, and you have various stylists there. You didn't go into that part. Maybe you could share that in a second. But I asked somebody even the other day, but like, yeah, I like those photos you share from the, your hairstylist and the color shots and all that stuff. So just talk a little bit about, who you got in there before we get into your story.
Okay, say that one more time. Talk a little bit about you just went out.
Your stylist, the
Oh,
salon, the makeup, before we get into the
yeah,
depth of your
yes.
story.
So it
Mhm.
is a total of 6 of us. The first person who started with me was Kimberly Williams. She is a textured stylist. She's absolutely amazing with natural hair, textured hair, curly hair, anything textured. She's amazing with that. She's amazing with other things, but that is also like one of her niches or niche.
Yeah, niche. I'm good with niche.
Got it. Then we also have Olivia. Olivia came on board second after Kim, and Olivia is a color specialist. So most of the color that you may see may be from Olivia, but all of our stylists do color well. But a color is Olivia's thing. She's phenomenal with color. And then we have Clarissa, who is our braid specialist, but she also does several different things. That's more of her niche, but the girl is a beast with those braids. Then we have Nina, Nina Ray, the stylist. She just joined the team not too long ago, and she is a short hair specialist. Now she does a lot of other things, but short hair is that's her. As she said, she's from Virginia. She said that's her jam. Um, and then we have last who just joined the team, Kristen, and Kristen is a silk press specialist. So she's awesome at what she does, and so we're just all individual business owners that do different things, but we all work together as a team to get the job done. I market the ladies; they market themselves, and so it's just kind of a makeup of 6 of us that all do different things, but we all do healthy hair.
Okay, and I like it. And so I know we're going to talk more about your salon later, but from the approach of not just the salon. I see your auntie on here. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, but we're going to talk about the salon not just from the business perspective, but also just your journey in life thus far, because you're 30, right?
Unfortunately.
So this journey in life of growing up when you're younger, becoming a mother, right? Mother figures in your life, and then being a mompreneur. I want to talk about that because remember, everybody, we're on this story session of mother's love. So that's what we're talking about. And I guess how I want to like transition, but like we just did like a little opening. So that was your commercial for Exclusive. That was your free commercial for Exclusive. But, but I also want to talk about Billie. I want to tell them I was, everybody, Billie and I were, like I said, I've known Billie since I moved to Texas, like beginning of 2014 is when I met Billie. And even the other day, I know that you shared with me before that your mother passed away when you were younger. But even the other day when I was making a post for this, man, I was like, well, Billie, can you talk? And I was texting her back and forth, like, are you available to talk? And I want to ask you a question, but I don't want to be, I can't remember the word I used. Like, I don't want to be too, not insensitive. Mm-hmm. So when I asked you this and you were like, look, I'm cooking, you know what I mean? Like you weren't mean about it, but like, I'm cooking, just tell me, whatever. I said, well, I wanted to ask you a question about, your mom and when she passed away. And you kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, it was kind of, like, please, like, that's not even the issue. And sometimes, I mean, I would love for you to start in that space because we know that Mother's Day just passed. And for a lot of people, the death of their mother is really heavy. But not that you don't care. I know your mother passed away when you were 7, but even speaking from that point of, you're not there. It seems to be like you've you've grown, you've
Mhm.
healed, you've dealt with it a certain way, you've learned how to deal with it. But even just start us off from that little girl and memories you've had with your mom, and begin to walk us down that journey of being that young girl that didn't have a mom, but where you sought that mother's love from. So I'm gonna
Oh,
move out the way so you can begin to share your story.
okay.
Mm.
I probably should have got some tissue. Well, I think some of the things that I remember about my mother are when my mother passed, I was 7. So some things are very vague. Some things I remember very clearly. One thing I can say that I just absolutely hate, I can't remember her voice. And so that's really hard for me because, it's sometimes it's hard to remember what someone says, but when you forget someone's voice, that's kind of hard for me. So I'm always like asking family members, like, hey, does anyone have any videos? Does anyone have any of this? And I know somebody got a video. But I would love for someone to just share something so that I can just remember her voice again, but I can't. But the things that I do remember her, I remember her saying things like, prevention is better than cure. She would always say it's better to not do something than to do it and then have this solution for something. I would say prevention is better than cure. My mother was a woman who would sing to us all the time. She would talk with us before disciplining us, before getting a whooping, she would talk with us. She was, just a fun mom. She was the kind of person that a lot of people loved to be around. They talked about her laughter. They talked about just how much of an amazing person she was. So anytime I hear stories about her, everyone says her name was Verna, and they would say everyone loved Verna. Verna was just an absolutely amazing woman. She was a career woman. She was a missionary in her church. She actually lived in Africa for a long time. And she had 3 kids before moving back to Texas and meeting my dad and having me. So she just lived life. She was fearless. She was a go-getter. My mother was just amazing. And so a lot of I know I got those traits and, personality. I got it from her. I got my daddy too, but I got from her. But as a little girl, like I said, I just remember little small things, whether it's laying on her chest, whether it was, believe it or not, my wedding ring is her ring. And so whether it's sometimes me looking at my ring and picturing her fingers, there's small things that you don't realize. Like, my son is almost the age that I was when I lost my mom. And, you don't really realize the things that you pay attention to as a kid. And I would just pay attention to her fingers when she was driving or, just small little things. And I remember that as an adult. So, like I said, those are things that I remember about her. But I lost my mother at 7, and I actually saw my mother pass. She died of cancer. And I remember it was in the month of April 25th. And I was there alone with her, with my brother. And she told me to go get my brother. And she asked me to call. She told me to tell my brother to call 911. And I just remember, like, even at 7, I remember the sound of her voice. Like, she called me, and I was just like, "Ma'am." And I remember saying, "Ma'am," like, boy, like, "Oh, what do you want? I'm playing with my Barbie dolls." And she didn't say anything. And in that moment, now my mom was the kind of mama, you didn't say, "Ma'am, like, what do you want?" She called you, you went. And so she didn't say anything. So I got scared and I ran into the room, and she was just like, call your brother, call 911. And so later we were at the hospital, and I remember just looking at her, and of course not knowing that she was going to die, but I remember looking at her, and it was almost like she just looked angelic. Her skin was glowing. She just looked really beautiful to me. Now, I don't know if that's really how she looked or if that's how God wanted me to see her. Excuse me. But I do remember seeing her, like, just glowing and just looking amazing. And I can't remember what was on TV. I think it was like Wheel of Fortune or Cowboys. It was some old show, but something was on the television, and she was watching that. And I remember telling her, "Mommy, I'm sleepy. I'm gonna take a nap." And she said, "Okay, baby, I love you." And that was literally the last thing that she said to me. And when I woke up, I woke up to all this praying and warring in the spirit and, speaking in tongues and all of that. And I was just confused, as a child, you wake up to that. You're like, what is going on? And I could clearly see that she was, taking her last breath. And so I asked my dad what's happening. He was like, your mom's dying. And of course I, got scared and I just watched her take her last breath. And so I think at 7, you don't really realize that death means that that person is not coming back. But I definitely understood that it wasn't a good thing. And so I remember at her funeral, I remember looking at her and I was just looking at her face and I was looking at the fact that she didn't look like herself. And I said to myself, like, this isn't my mom. And so that was at the wake, excuse me. And then at the funeral, when they said, do you want to see her one last time? I said, no, that's not my mother. And I didn't understand it as a kid, but I understand now. And to this day, I've only visited her grave one time. And that was because I lost a brother a few years ago. And we, sprinkled his ashes over her grave. But before I didn't go, everyone deals with grief differently. Everyone deals with things, differently, and they're entitled to, how they grieve. But I believe in the word. And, when your spirit is gone, that's not you. We're dust. This is a shell. And so as a kid, for whatever reason, I understood that that was no longer my mother, and as I grew up, I could not go back to a grave that I knew my mother was not there. I couldn't see myself going back to a grave, talking to someone that's not there. I just couldn't do it. And so I never went back. And it wasn't a grief thing. It wasn't I'm scared kind of thing. It was just that my mother is not there. To be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. And I believe that 100%. And I guess I believe that at 7. So that's kind of the story of, me kind of losing her.
Yeah, that's a beauty. You know what? I've never heard you share that before. I've always heard you say, oh, my mother passed away. I think I've heard you say before your mother died of cancer, but I've never heard you share the fullness of it and the details. And so I do thank you for sharing that, with us. And it sounds like you have a lot of beautiful memories too.
Oh yeah.
Of your mom. Yeah. Yeah. And she sounds like an amazing and beautiful woman, like to travel, live in Africa. And, now I know your father, you said you got some of your mother in you, but I know I've seen your father and he's very funny. He's very extroverted, right? What about, but what parts of your mother do you hold? Like, do you think within you?
I think I have her business mindset. I think I get a lot of the business side from her. I think that I have a lot of her like in being fearless. Because I do have a sense of like risk taking. I will kind of think about it a little bit, but I'm like, hey, you know what? We got one life to live. We can't take none of this stuff with us. So why not try? And so my mom was a risk taker. She did, I grew up in a very strict kind of church, Church of God in Christ. If anybody know Pentecostal holiness, this lipstick is your Jezebel. And so just kind of the things that my mom did was just out of the ordinary. It wasn't what you would do. And so I think I have a lot of that. I get a lot of that from her. She wasn't super domesticated, if that's the word, domestic. I think I'm a little domestic, a little bit, but I get that from her. My dad is more of the cook and he cleans and stuff like that. And I married a man who clean. Now I clean too, but he gonna clean before I will. I'm gonna sit on that couch until I'm ready.
See? Well, yeah, your dad, you very much, and everybody, listen, that scale of like extrovert to introvert. I see Billie like far on the extrovert side. Like if it wraps all the way back around, that's where Billie's at. She is extremely extroverted. And I tell her, don't be nervous when you get on here because you can just flow and count and sing. And maybe by the time this is over, Billie can sing us a song, because she can sing. So anyway, Billie, tell us about, okay, so that's, and you can share more, I'm sure you will share more memories of your mom too, because at this point then your mother passes away, then your father becomes your primary, caregiver at this point. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. But tell us.
stuff in between, but ultimately, yes, he became my caregiver.
Okay, but now take us down that road, because see, we're talking about this journey. Because the way I worded this too is what happens to that little girl who loses her mother at 7?
Mm.
Where does she learn how to be a young woman, or how to take care of herself?
Mm.
Like your hair, beautiful, you know what I mean? Or, skin, makeup, beautiful, everything like that. Where does that little girl learn those things from? Who does she gravitate to?
Mm.
Who was there? Because your father's a cool guy. He clean. I seen him dress in
Yeah,
them
yeah.
suits. But I don't know if he taught you all that.
Honestly, it was kind of hard. Like, even, I mean, this might be kind of a TMI. I'll try to like say it as not like so blunt if there are men listening. But even things like, I remember, when a little girl becomes a woman, you know what I mean? My grandmother calling my dad and telling him. And now I ain't gonna sing today. But I remember my grandmother calling my dad to tell him that, I had become a woman, if you follow me. And to this day, I'm 30 years old, and I've never talked to my dad about needing sanitary napkins. Do you get what I'm saying? I was embarrassed. I didn't know how to tell him that. So I would make them myself. Like, literally, I would make them out of cardboard and tissue and plastic and things like that, because I was so embarrassed by it. I don't know why I was, but I just was. So it would be things like that. It was hard just learning how to care for my body, care for my hair. I figured I had to figure out everything on my own. It was hard, 'cause, I did have my sisters, and they would, help me as much as as much as they could. But my sisters were not in the home with me. It was just me and my dad. My sisters were older, and my siblings were older, actually. So yeah, that was tough. Learning how to do things, and becoming a woman and not having someone show you that is very hard. So I remember when my dad met a woman, and we just loved her, and I was just like, Dad, please marry her, she's so awesome. And it seemed like a weight had just lifted, because now this woman is in the household, and I can just tell her everything. Oh my God, I need this, I need to go to the store and get this, I need this for my hair, I need this, I need, and it just felt like a weight had lifted, because I went from 8 years old to 12 years old, trying to just figure out who this little girl was, trying to figure out my place in the world. And that was just very difficult. That was very difficult. So I can honestly say my dad left the church that we were at, and he started visiting the Potter's house. And at that time, Bishop Jakes had just came to Dallas. And I mean, he was like, not saying was, but at the time, he was like, the person, like, he's new to Dallas. Everybody heard of the Potter's house, Bishop Jakes. And so all of these people were going to this church and I don't know why I can't talk, but they were coming, in large crowds. And so, anyway, he started going, and I believe he started receiving healing, and the things that he needed to get, he was getting them, because he was grieving too. And I think that's also something that should be noted, is that my father was grieving. He lost his wife. And so it's hard to comfort a child and really be there for a child when you don't even know what to say, because your heart is just grieving. And the best that he could. And I think he did a bang up job. And so, needless to say, he was getting his healing from the Potter's house. And so it was very uncomfortable for me at first, because, like I said, I grew up Kojic, I grew up Pentecostal, and I'm like, Lord, they wear pants at this church, they sinning. And so, it was just a lot. It was just different. And then even just how church was just different for me. But the Potter's house taught me how to have a relationship with God. And that was very different. And it's not to say that the other church that I grew up in did not, but it was just very different. I had never actually experienced the presence of God. I experienced church. I experienced shouting. I other stuff, but I had really never truly experienced the presence of God. And as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old girl, just weeping before the Lord, that was something that I had never experienced. And so I believe that in that season that my dad was getting healing, I was too. So I can truly say that a healing that I received was through, not the church, but it was through the church, the anointing that the church had during that season. it came, and I was getting so much healing and so much restoration from the loss and the grief that I was dealing with. So my dad met this woman, and I was like, Daddy, please marry her. And he married her, and it just felt like a weight had lifted. So, I was getting healing through church, through the word of God, developing a relationship at a very young age. And then I also had a woman in the home. And so that was a blessing. And even sometimes, like, when I think about, like, my sister, I have a sister right now that she's not on drugs right now, but she struggles with drug abuse. She's incarcerated right now. We're only 3 years apart. And she kind of tugs on my heart a little bit because, number one, we're only 3 years apart and we're so close in age. And I just wish that she would have had the opportunity that I had. And you can see the difference that when you are in a place where you're allowing yourself to have a relationship with God and for God to feel whatever pain, whatever hurt, whatever it is, when you allow God to feel that and be that, nothing else has room to take that place. Nothing else can permeate that but the Holy Spirit. And so that's what I received from the ages of 10 on up. But my sister did not receive that. So the things that she went through, she couldn't handle those things. And so you could clearly see that life got her. And so she never could cope with the loss. And it was just one thing after the next. Everything was a trigger for her. And so I just say that to say that, I know that the church that I was in at the time, the word that I was receiving brought healing. And it brought a lot of healing. So after which, my dad and my mother, my stepmother, they married and things like that. But we had our issues, like a lot of stepchildren do. And some things we just didn't come back from. And that's okay. I still love her and I still wish her the best. And just things just didn't work out. But God allowed me the opportunity to become great friends with my pastor's family at the time. And I was very close with them. Loved them like my own. Like, literally, I had like my own room there almost. And so I was there every day pretty much. And they just took me under their wing and I became like their second daughter. And that was big for me too, because it was like every season of my life, God strategically placed these women. So first it was my stepmom, then it was my pastor's wife. And she just took me under her wing, and she didn't have to do those things. She didn't have to be there for me during those seasons, but she was, And then when that season was over, then it was one of my good friends, Melanie. Melanie was like, a mom to me, and then she became a sister mom, and then a sister friend. And now she's just like my really, really, really good friend. And, I just had so many different people that God strategically placed in my life to help me through every season. And so I know you mentioned, Toya, that you say, you don't say it like you're grieving, you seem to be whole and things like that. And I can truly say that, God doesn't do anything. He's not going to take something away from you and not have something on reservation for you or have something lined up. And I do believe it's a matter of what we are open to. We can choose to grieve. We can choose to be hurt and choose to walk in that hurt, because it's a choice. Or we can choose to be whole and choose to open our hearts and open ourselves up to what God has for us. And I could have made a choice to say, no, you're not going to be my mama. Or no, I don't want you to. Who are you? Why are you talking to me like that? I don't have a mama. My mama's 6 feet under. My sister used to say that. My mama is 6 feet under. And it was like she was literally shutting people off that God was sending her to be a protection, to be a mother, to be nurturing to her. And I made the choice that when someone would come and impart something in me, that I would just listen and I would just take in whatever wisdom that they had to give to me. And so, yeah, every season, God strategically gave me ladies, women. And I'm talking about, these ain't no like I ain't gonna say rinky dink women, but these are women that are doing something in life. And it also made me say, okay, well, God, you place these women in my life. I know you got a call on my life. I know you got me to do something great. So yeah, I just thank God for the people he put in my life. And I thank God for him allowing me to be open and available to receive, as precious as that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, one, I heard you say rinky dink. God didn't give you any rinky dink women, but I love that. I love the fact because it sounds like you were really hungry. One for love, right? So we're talking about mother's love, but you were just hungry for this love and this nurturing. It's like you were waiting, God, give me somebody to latch onto, right? Give
Hmm.
me somebody to hold. And at that moment, and I love how you said that because that's real and that's life, right? We can all reflect back and we can look at different seasons of our life where there were certain people sent to pour into us,
Oh yeah.
right? And that person may not be there right now, but in that season, they were very
Mhm.
much needed.
Yeah.
And you have these people, and everybody may not play that role anymore. But at one point, it was your stepmother, because what you're saying, listen, when my mother passed away, what you're saying, when your mom passed away, it was you and your dad for a little bit.
Hmm.
And that's, what I mean? You were like, man, I need a woman to come through, right? You had
Yeah.
grandma somewhere, but you had to need a woman. And then it was your pastor's wife. But before your pastor's wife, it was God and the community, the church that he sent you to,
Yes. Hmm.
because that was a huge, I love how you broke that down too,
Hmm.
because and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes we can look at different family members. I know you and I talked before, I have a brother that deals with alcoholism and drug addiction. And sometimes you wonder, like, what part okay, everybody's different, but man, why didn't you grab hold of this?
Hmm.
Like we got hold of this,
I
you
I
know?
remember, I remember my dad told me, he said, when I was in a debutante program at our church, and I remember my dad said someone that actually meant a lot to me, and I thought that they looked at me very highly. Told my dad, if you don't get a handle on her, she's gonna be before me in my courtroom. She was a judge, and she's a well-known judge here in Dallas. And I couldn't understand what type of person I was, what type of kid I was for someone to say that.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I say that to say that people they don't really know. People don't know the words that they say over
Mhm.
children and how that affects them. And I just couldn't understand, like, how could somebody say that about a kid? I'm like 12 years old and you're saying, if my dad doesn't get a handle over me, I'm gonna be in a courtroom. And this woman puts people away like for years. And I just couldn't understand that. I was just like, dang, what kind of person, what kind of kid was I? And sometimes there are people who don't really stop and really try to understand what this child is going through, what's wrong with this child or whatever. But there were women in the church that they just saw more in me, and they spoke highly of me. I remember, oh my God, Emmitt Smith's wife. I never got the chance to tell her this, but I remember she pulled me aside one day, and I think I was probably about 13. And Emmitt Smith's wife, her name is Pat Smith. And I was probably about 13. And she pulled me to the side and she said, I just want to tell you that you're favored by God, you're loved by God, you are so beautiful. I mean, and she just began to, like, just say all of these words of affirmation, but they were godly words of affirmation, lining up with the, she just began to just tell me that, she's like, you're gonna do great things. And I just felt so honored. First of all, this woman looks like a freaking Barbie doll. And she's sitting here telling me how beautiful I am. But she was also speaking into my spirit, not my physical act. She was speaking into my spirit. And she does not know what she did to that little girl. And here you have a judge telling my dad, I'm going to be in her courtroom because what I touch, or because I say the first thing that comes on my mind. But then you have this lady who's, you know, an amazing woman, and she tells me, you are loved by God. Do you see the difference? Our words matter when we speak to children because we do not know what children are going through. We don't know what children have been through, and we don't know who this child is going to be. So we can either choose to speak life or we can choose to speak death. And I just thank God for the women that God placed in my life who spoke into me, and she was one of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you remember that story because I think that's extremely important. And you're right. I mean, a lot of times, just like in your situation, right? That was a horrible thing to say to any child because you weren't out there. I never heard you telling the story that you was out in the streets, tearing the streets. Okay, right. So
Yeah,
if there
I was a
wasn't,
church girl.
so exactly right. So if there is no evidence to go with that, it would be different if you was running the streets and you were stealing or doing something horrible. But like you said, sometimes like what is it like when we were younger? We heard that sticks and stones, right? But words will never hurt me. But that's not true because words do stick, especially
Oh
to a
yeah.
young person. And it took that on. And sometimes for a lot of us, it took years to get that off our backs. What people
Mm-hmm.
label us and called us. But for what she said, I'm glad that, see, you know what? You do have, I think you said your mother had this wisdom, right? And you do have it because it seems like at 12, you knew not to receive that,
Yeah.
that wasn't going to be you,
Yeah.
right? And then God, like you just said, sent somebody right behind her to speak
Mm-hmm.
life into you.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he has always done it my whole life. Like
Mhm.
anytime, the enemy has said something or even, made me feel a certain way, God will always send someone something to affirm and just turn it around. I just think it's a matter of what we choose to believe, if we believe that. And again, going back to the whole grief thing, it's a choice. It is a choice, it is a process. I recommend anyone, if you're grieving, I recommend them to allow yourself to grieve. I remember a friend of mine lost her mother, or an acquaintance of mine lost her mother when we were younger as well. And everyone around her was like, girl, just, turn up wasn't the word, but, it was like, girl, just turn up. Let's just, this. And I was that friend that everybody said I was judgmental because I just told the truth all the time. And I was like, yo, you can turn up, but you need to grieve. Like why would you want me to, grieve over my mom? Why do you want me to think about this? And I said, if you don't grieve, you're going to crash. This is coming from somebody has been there. You need to grieve. And so, she didn't want to. She didn't want to face what was going on. So I always just tell people, that's dealing with grief or going through that, go through grief, deal with it, deal with what you're going through, talk to God about it. If you angry, say you angry. If you hurt, say you hurt. Whatever it is, whatever you would tell a therapist or whatever, tell God. I grew up where we couldn't question God. We couldn't say, God, why? That is the dumbest thing ever, because the Bible clearly tells us that it is okay to ask God questions and go before him and say, Lord, why me? Why do I have to go through this thing? Why this thorn in my side? And it's okay. And God will reveal the purpose in your pain. He will reveal why he allowed you and chose you to go through the things that you went through. And so it's a choice. It is a choice after we walk through grief. And it's not something that is honestly ever ending. I'm 30 years old and I still weep in my bed thinking about my mother. Still. But it's not something that's every day where I'm just like, oh, I miss my mom. No, about my mother every day, honestly. It's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her. But there are days that I miss her more than others. That is grieving. That is mourning. That is thinking about that person and the memories, and that is okay. So grief is something that you walk through. It's a process. But sometimes people say, well, you just got to move on or get over it. It's not something you ever get over. I don't get over not having a mom. I want to, especially when my knucklehead husband gets on my nerves, I want to pick up the phone and be like, Mama, what I do? What do I do with this man? I want to kill him, but I can't do that. And sometimes that makes it even harder. That makes me want to cry more because I don't have a mother to pick up the phone. Mama, I need you. I think it's a statistic that says like something about, I can't remember, Toya, you might know, but it's like a child is supposed to say mom and dad or something. You actually are supposed to say those words, and it does something to your psyche when you can't say it. And I know that for a fact, not being able to say, Mama, I need you, does something to me emotionally. And so I just say, when for those who do deal with grief, you just walk through it, and you ask God to be with you every moment, because it's something that you just walk through daily, and you choose to receive the healing that God gives you. Choose to receive that. Don't back down. Don't say, well, no, I'm not ready for this, or no, I'm not ready for that, because there were women who came in my life, and if I had said, no, I'm not ready for that, I don't think I would be where I am now. You receive it, and you walk, and you move forward. You don't forget about it. You just move forward.
You know what? This is so good. And I'm not trying to be funny. I know you're going to laugh when I say, because I'm laughing. So, but I'm laughing at the thought what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I didn't know. I've known you since 2014. I didn't know you had this much wisdom with you. Maybe because you're such a clown and you always making jokes and laughing and cutting up and singing that and saying the darndest things. If anybody doesn't know Billie, she says the darndest things at all times. But I didn't know you had this much wisdom with you. And I'm being so for real. Didn't I send you a text message the other day for Mother's Day? I said, Billie, you're a great mom. You're this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you. But
Yeah.
I did not know you came with this much wisdom.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in those seasons you soaked up. And I think it's a good time too. Let's talk about where that wisdom, the love from your mother. And I thought that was beautifully said as well. Sometimes you just want to sit and say, Mom, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know, maybe if people who are listening in the comments who don't have their mother, what words replace those?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing can replace. Who said that? Tupac? Can't nothing take mama's place. Who said nothing? Nothing can take mama's place. There is nothing. I don't even God sent. There's still nothing that can take mama. But honestly, but God, that is the only thing that I can say. I believe the scripture says, when our mother and father forsake me or forsake you, God will take you up. And that is, I'm a living witness of that. That when, and it's not that my mom forsook me, if that's the word, forsook, but is that when I lost my mother, I believe that was power in that. And I know that that's a hard thing to say, but I just believe that there was power in her death. Her death was not in vain. I just wanted to say, Ebo. So serious, and I'm not trying to be funny, but that was beauty in her death. Like, I can't say that for her siblings, for my siblings, excuse me, but there was beauty in losing my mother. She didn't die in vain. I believe that I would not be the person that I was if she was here today, and I'm just being 100% honest. I believe that her death gave me that grit. It gave me that motivation to say, I have to move forward. I have to. I cannot sit here and wallow in grief and wallow in pain and wallow in woe is me. I don't have my mother, or oh, my dad works all the time, or da da da, or this person. I grew up, my friends their parents was millionaires. And you know how it made me feel? I'm going to their house every day, pretty much, sleeping in a mansion, and I come home and I'm sleeping on a mattress on the floor. That was the reality. My friends were millionaires. And so that did something to me. But I chose to not look at them and be jealous of them and envious of them. But I chose to say, there is more for me. Like, there's more for me. If God can place me in a mansion that's not even mine, what more does he have for me? You know what I'm saying? What more does he have for me? So there's beauty in the fact that I lost my mother. There's beauty in the pain. There's purpose behind the pain. And I just honestly, I thank God for him choosing me to walk through that, so that I can help someone else walk through their journey and hopefully help them see, like, yo, your mama, your daddy, your husband, whoever, you lost them. But guess what? There is beauty after this. It is.
Can you see me clapping? And I don't know if you can see me. What I'm okay,
I can hear
man. I listen. That's good, Billie. That's good right there. I didn't know. I'm telling you. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because the last little bit you said was fire, but I can't remember what I was thinking. I'm thinking I'm about to ask you a question. I think it was just you and your journey, right? And what you're sharing. Again, this is stuff. I see it almost every week. And this is stuff I haven't heard you say before. So I think it's awesome that this space you're sharing what you want to share and you're saying things that you need to say, right? And as always, is what I said to you before we got on. I know you helping somebody else who either lost their mother or who came in the same situations that you did. And for everybody who's listening that does not know Billie, like I said a minute ago, Billie and I are like friends, right? But you come with such humility because there are plenty of people that would have went to the millionaire's house and would have got a big head and would have showed out, would have been completely different. But that's not any part of who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to taste it. Matter of fact, you'll run from nonsense before you attach to it, just to say you attach to it.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? And for those, this is what I was thinking, because I want to make sure I say this, because I want you to also talk about where you are now, where God led you, and your testimony of even the shop. But Billie is one of those people who, I don't know if Alicia's still on here, but she was talking about it last night on Polished News Network of having friends that support. Billie's one of those people who, and you got to get on Polished News Network too, Billie. You got to get on that. Okay, Alicia's on here. Okay. But, that you can talk to, and there's never any animosity between us. We can talk business. We can talk anything. We can talk ideas, but there's never any tension. And I think that we support each other, and it's real. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I genuinely appreciate about your friendship. And everything that you went through, you could have been a totally different person with a big head acting funny, but you don't act that way. And so I'm grateful for that. And my pastor said that you're full of life. She is, Pastor. And Alicia said she's on here. So Alicia, you're going to get her on. I told her, Polished News Network, I think it'll be dope if you go in there and talk business with her too. But take us down the journey of, even now with the shop, and because you gave a testimony last week at your church, but even telling some of that now, because remember, we talked about, again, mother's love and losing your mother. And like you told us a minute ago, it's not like you ever forget that. You know what I mean? But each day you're reminded of it, of not having a mom, but God putting people in different seasons in your life so you can, learn from them. But then walking now into this business owner and now a mother and mompreneur, like take us down that road, like wherever you want to start with that, but that testimony that gets you to where you're at right now.
Oh man, that's a lot.
Or just chop it up, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so you want me to talk about me being a mompreneur or me opening a salon or?
Wherever you want to. I know it was a lot, but whatever story you think is really on you heavy right now, whatever comes to mind that you want to share, be the one last week or just starting and launching in general.
I would just say, since it's Mother's Day, I probably would keep it kind of centered around, or Mother's week, whatever. I would kind of keep it, centered around that. I am a mompreneur. And I'm gonna start this part with a review that I recently got. And one of my clients came to me and said that someone had a very bad experience at my salon. And I was like, oh man, what did they say? And she said, she made an appointment with you and she just said her experience was really bad. And so, I asked her the lady's name and I looked her up and I was like, oh, I said, interesting. I said, it's kind of interesting. Her experience was bad. She only had a consultation. So we only talked. So I'm trying to figure out, what did I say to this woman that made her experience so horrible, And so as I, thought about the ladies, our conversation or whatever, I was just like, that's so interesting. The lady seemed very excited about her appointment. Long story short, my client told me that, the woman pretty much just said she was just unhappy that she couldn't get into the salon after her consultation. There were, limited availability. And then she said, and then she received a maternity leave email that said I was, leaving for my maternity leave. And she was like, she didn't even tell me she was going on maternity leave. Like, Why would she not tell me that? Um, you can see I'm 8 months pregnant. So I don't know how that works in your brain, but if someone's pregnant, they're gonna leave pretty soon. And I actually got that message right before I went on stage to tell my testimony at my church. And I just began to pray because I was like, God, it's a distraction. I had actually got like 3 text messages from clients, and it was a distraction. It was all negative. And so it was right before I was about to give my testimony, and I just had to get that out of my head. But I was telling my friend Toya, that's here online with me, that it's so frustrating, as a mom, as a mompreneur, that, clients will say, well, when are you going to maternity leave? How long do you think you're going to be out? Oh, okay. Well, what your client's going to do when you're gone? What they did during quarantine. That's what they're going to do. You figure it out. No, just playing. But it's like at the end of the day, it's very frustrating because I'm a human and I'm a woman and I'm a mom, I'm a wife. And this is my career. Like, this is something that I take very seriously. I've been doing it for 12 years. It's not like I'm gonna go on maternity leave for a year. Give me 8 weeks with my family. That's it. 8 weeks with my family. Whether I go on maternity leave now or in a few weeks before I deliver. I just wish that sometimes clients would say things like, you know, um, girl, take the time that you need, take all the time that you need, enjoy your family, whatever. We have 5 stylists in my salon. And so my clients are going to be well taken care of. But I do think sometimes people do forget that we human and we do have a life, and you don't want to burn out your hairstylist. And burning out your hairstylist is when you pull. And I've made a choice that I'm not going to let anybody burn me out of my career. And I am a faithful person. I am faithful at saying I'm not for everybody. And if what I do or how I run my business does not work for you, then it's okay. Find a stylist that works for you. But it is. So I just say that to say I'm a mompreneur. You absolutely love my family. I love my son. And I've come to a yes, Kaylee, y'all gonna be fine. Thank you. I've come to a point in life where I'm satisfied. That's a word all by itself. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with, my business. I'm satisfied with what God is doing. If he doesn't do anymore, I'm okay with what he's done. Of course, I have bigger dreams. I have bigger goals. I want to expand, but I am truly, in my heart, in my spirit, I am satisfied with what God has done in my life. He has shown me favor after favor after favor. He has opened doors with this salon that I can't even imagine, from funding to you name it, things that I didn't even know. There's a lady by the name of Rachel here in Dallas. She never met me, and this lady sat on the phone with me for a long time, just giving me tips and things like that on how to open my business. And she just filled me with wisdom. Again, another woman for every season that I've encountered. Just want to make that note. But this woman never met me, and she had like 3 salons in Dallas, in DFW, and she just poured into me. And she's like, "There's no competition. I want you to succeed, girl." So she just poured into me, and I opened the salon. God gave me favor with so many different things. And so that's why I say I'm just satisfied. I'm satisfied with God. I'm satisfied where I am as a business. I do want to grow. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to go further. But my first priority is my family. And that comes first. And as a new business owner, I did not understand that. As a new business owner, I was super hungry and just getting it. I was making that money. But now that, I've been doing hair for a long time, and you encounter so many different people, I have wonderful clients, but you do come to a point where you realize that your family is all you got. If quarantine didn't teach us that, then I don't know what does. Family is all you have. And that is my most important thing. If my son doesn't have his mother, then what? If my husband doesn't have his wife, then what? So that's what's important to me right now. So mompreneur, focus on my family first. That's why it says mom, and then an entrepreneur second. And anybody that doesn't like that order, you can feel free to book with a stylist that is an entrepreneur first.
Ooh, that's good. Listen, Billie, we have several requests from the viewers for you to
sing.
Yes, for you to sing a song. This is from my pastor, Billie. So that means that you have to.
I don't even know what to sing.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. If anybody has ever been in Billie's in the shop, but if Kim is still on here, she can say Billie will sing a song about a blow dryer and a comb and turn it into a 20-minute song. So you can find you can find something to sing in this moment. So go ahead and sing us something, Billie.
Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb. That's all I got. His sheep is white as snow. Maybe where Mary was from, she didn't have a little lamb. Maybe Mary had a dog. It's quiet.
I was waiting because I'm hoping you sing another song. Stop playing with the people, Billie. Sing a song. You got a song. Sing one.
What song? I don't know, guys. I really don't have a song on my heart or my spirit. I might mess up the words because I never know the words, but on the hill there is, you know that word, that song? On the hill there is, on the cross there is blood for me, for me. Yeah, I don't know that song either. Let's see. Anybody got a request? Amazing Grace. Ma'am, you done took it all back to 1905. Amazing Grace. Hurry up, Billie. Okay, I don't have a song. Okay, He's Able. That's a good one. God is able to do just what he said he would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. He's able. Oh, he's able. Oh, he's able. He's able. He's able. He's able. There you go. He's able.
There you go, Billie. There you go. Listen, I wasn't joking. You can be in that salon. Billie will find a pencil. She can find a cup of coffee and start a whole song and preach by herself. And we just have to be the audience and wait till she's done until she move on to something else. And so I think there was people on here that said the same thing and they believe it. So yeah, Billie can sing, y'all. Billie can definitely sing. And she's heard that many times before. She was playing with Mary Had a Little Lamb, but she let some other notes out. If you have any other song requests while we're on here, we're about to wrap up in a minute. Make sure you put them in the comments so Billie can start singing. And then we'll go from there. Billie, any more or anybody has any questions about mother's love? Any lasting thoughts with your story that you want to share? Shout out to Kim too. She's one of the stylists at Exclusive Hair Salon. Yeah. Any and thank you, Billie, for singing. Right. Thank you for sharing your story. For all the women that poured in. I know you gave a lot of people hope. For one. Amen. That's awesome. That's beautiful, Pastor. Even a lot of women who have lost their mothers, a lot of people that if they're looking for a mother figure of somebody to connect with, to even receive that love, You know what I mean? You showed us, and your life is a living testimony. Like, listen, God will put people in place
Mhm.
so you won't go astray, right? And kept you right on track. And maybe that's for another day. Maybe that's the story you share if when you set up with Alicia to go on Palace News Network. Make sure you all watch Palace News Network Friday nights at 8, Monday nights at 8 as well. All business owners, entrepreneurs.
Mm.
You can tell the story from 19 because you became a business owner at the age of 19 and you are moving forward with that. And God is blessing. Like, your shop is awesome. I was looking for the video that I did of her shop, but I could not find it. So that's that's me not being planning enough. So thank you so much for sharing. And I'm just still trying to post the comments, Billie, that are coming. Um, that are coming in as well. Any words that you have for people, either about the shop, about business, about motherhood now? I know you said you're 8 months pregnant and you have a very funny, very cute 5-year-old boy who's got, if you think Billie got personality, he got personality times 10.
You got me
So
weak.
anything you want to share with the folk before we log off?
No, just stay encouraged, man. Um, just stay encouraged. That's all I can say. Stay encouraged. This life is not our life. This life belongs to God. All I can say is that, the things that you go through is for a greater purpose. And if you ever feel like, hey, God, I can't go on anymore. I can't do this anymore. Man, listen, talk to somebody. I recommend a therapist, Latoya Smith. And really talk to someone and get your mind right, get your mind clear. I think it is not until you get older when you understand, when my grandmother we used to pray and she would say, thank you for is it a right mind, or she would say something about her mind. It's an old saying. And as I got older, I understood that my grandmother was saying, like, thank you for letting me be in my right mind, keeping me from danger seen and unseen. So for me, it's like the older you get, the more you like, you know what? We need to be in our right mind. We need to be able to talk to someone. So talk to someone, get the help that you need. Grow in God, stay focused, stay encouraged, speak positively of yourself. And you will get through this.
Amen.
There will be glory after this. Yeah! There will be glory after this.
My pastor said she'll be the godmother of little Miss Naomi.
Okay.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Billie. Yeah, I appreciate it too. The wisdom and strength that you showed. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
any way that people can book with you, I have this information up here, how they can find you on social media.
You can't book with me. I'm gonna have a baby.
Oh yeah, sorry, not Billie, the other stylist.
Yes, but you can. I do recommend, if you're a new client and you still want to visit or book with me, just know I am leaving so that your experience isn't bad. But if you do want to book with our salon, it's at exclusesharesalon.com, and we do have 5 ladies that are ready to serve you.
Awesome. And I will say, it's definitely professional. When you go in there, like old school hair salons, you be in there for like 2 hours before you even get in the stylist chair, or you be under the dryer for 3 hours and you be falling asleep. But in there, you're right, you in, and you, matter of fact, I got to keep up with Billie when she yelling me to come on behind her. So if my appointment like at 9, I'm out of there by what, 10:30, yeah, so go for the babies. So she tell you take some more time.
Yes.
So all right, well, thank you so much, Billie, for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
A mother's love, man. I heard some beautiful stories, a lot of wisdom, a very smart businesswoman, a very smart woman, and a great mom. And so we just thank God for you coming to share your story. We're excited about the arrival of Miss Naomi Grace in a few more months, and just blessings to your family.
7 weeks.
7 weeks, I'm sorry. And blessings to your family. Like, let me see, somebody else says, sorry, a couple more comments. There you go. Prophetess Micah says she loves going to your salon.
Oh, cool.
And thank you so much for sharing your story. So I know Megan was on here too, and she enjoys going. So thank you so much. Remember, you have to watch the replay, Casey, and Billie sang a lot. and told her story. So it was awesome. So thank you so much for joining this story session here we had on a mother's love. And of course, so yeah, she's she looked good past it.
They be looking rough. Not that exclusion. That's in the contract. We got to come with our hair done.
Is it really in the contract?
Yes, you can't come to work looking like that. And I'm one, I'm real laid back. I'm a jeans t-shirt kind of girl, but I mean, at least, dust your face, put a hat on if you don't feel like doing your hair. But nah, we ain't doing that. We not looking like that.
I didn't know that, which makes sense now. Yeah, which makes sense now. I guess that does make a lot of sense. What's up, Miss Nina?
In this salon.
And there you go too. Listen, these stylists are on here. If you guys need appointments, you need to go to the website. Nina's in there too. You need to book some appointment times up in there. All right. What are you gonna say? Anything else before you jump off?
They're at the salon having fun without me.
Okay, it's okay. You'll be there soon. You'll be there tomorrow. Yeah. All right, you all. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, next week we'll be back here, Mother's Love, sharing more stories. If you have a story you want to share, right, then please make sure you email me, and then we'll go from there. All right, Billie, stay on here for 1 second, and then all right, you all have a good night, and we'll see you. Oh, wait, Casey says she needs some twists. Who in there does twists?
Clarissa.
So she goes to the website and clicks on Clarissa's name. Is that how it works?
On Clarissa.
Okay, and then run it back down again for people who weren't on here. And then what does Miss Nina do?
Go to Exclusive Salon.
That's where everything's on there. Okay.
Exclusive.
Remember in the beginning when you ran down what each stylist did?
Oh yes. So Clarissa does braids, braids extensions. Nina is a short hair stylist, but again, these ladies they're not tied to just this one service. They do other stuff. Like Clarissa does natural hair as well, but her specialty is braids. Nina's specialty is short hair. Olivia's specialty is color. Kim's specialty is textured hair. And Kristen's specialty is silk presses.
Okay, got you. All right. So you all have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Tuesday for more stories. All right. See you then. Thank you, Billie.
No problem. Thank you.